Welcome. Thank you very much indeed
for
joining us, Sir Roger.
Pleasure.
Look, we had no surprises today from the Bank of England. Presumably you're happy for rates to stay where they are, but what is business looking for? At what point do you think this economy is going to be robust enough to cope with the rate rise that will inevitably come at some stage?
Well, I think clearly we are in a period of recovery, and that's going to be driven by a number of factors. We've got favourable currency. I think our people are exporting well. And so far, because of low interest rates, the consumer spending has held up at reasonable levels. But it's a fragile position, and we need to work, I think, methodically and sensibly to keep the momentum going before we look at material changes in interest rates.
Now, the most recent IMF report says that the UK should stick with its current course. Are you comfortable with the economic plan that's in place at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's the only basis on which we can go forward. It was critically important that we had strong financial foundations in place on which, frankly, the world could see that we had a commitment to our financial integrity and our currency integrity. I think that's happened, and we've now got a good building block. We've got alignment. I mean, what the country need, what the government wants, and what business can do is to deliver growth.
And I mean, you mentioned that growth's at 1.5%. That's what the IMF have now predicted. Are you comfortable with that level?
I think you can be ever comfortable with growth levels. I think you should be reaching out for higher levels wherever possible. But we have got growth. Although it's modest, it is moving forward in a very positive way. We just have to keep building on that by the government doing its part, which is taking away regulation as fast as it possibly can, investing in the economy, ensuring we do get the public services under control, and encouraging industry to go forward. Business has then got to do its part and build on the very strong foundations that are being laid for us.
Would you not feel a little bit more reassured if George Osborne did have a plan B?
No, I don't think plan Bs help at all in these circumstances. I think we've got clarity on a plan A. I think the plan A is delivering the goods for us. It's clearly a painful transition, but the country, as in many other countries, was in financial difficulty. Without those foundations, there could be no strong recovery. We are building recovery. We should stick to that and try and go forward in a very positive way.
Now, of course, it is all about growth, and George Osborne would like you and all the businesses you represent to do their part. From your point of view, what more could the government be doing realistically to help with growth and to help businesses?
I think realistically they have to do more of what they're currently doing and probably step up the pace. So regulation certainly needs to be reduced at a faster rate. We need to see absolute clarity on the energy position. We're awaiting the energy white paper. That needs to come through very positively for the energy industry to plan and for users to understand exactly what the future will look like. It's these sort of things that convert all the good words and some of the progress made into even stronger deeds.
Look, the IMF actually mentioned the possibility of lowering taxes. Is that something that you would welcome?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think, again, good moves in the early stages with corporation tax coming down, some help for entrepreneurs, all very positive. I think we need to see that trend continued. We also need to see personal taxation over a period come down so that people can enjoy more of the fruits of their labours by retaining more of the reward.
Now, moving on to jobs, we haven't even seen all those job losses that we are going to see through the austerity measures that George Osborne has been implementing. His wish is that those public sector job losses, the people who lose their jobs, are then absorbed into the private sector. Do you think that that's realistic?
Well, I think it's what's got to happen, and I think the important thing is to do it at the pace that is reasonable and achievable. The only solution to that is to create jobs. Probably the best sector to do that is in the medium-sized UK businesses, and I think the encouragement that banks are being given to help fund expansion of those medium-sized businesses, build on their exports, is an important way forward of accelerating growth and therefore clearly creating jobs and picking up the slack.
Now, you very diplomatically mentioned the encouragement that banks are being given. A lot of your members must be finding it tough and finding problems getting loans. What would you say to the government and the banks as to just how much encouragement should be given to them?
Well, I think it needs to be very positive. I mean, you know, this is a national situation. I mean, banks, business, government, the population generally all need to see growth coming through. It is the solution to the challenge that we have. I think we heard this morning Vince Cable being very clear with the banks that they have a commitment. They made that through Merlin. They're a little behind at the moment, and I think he was suggesting it was in their interests as well as the national interest to just step up the pace again, make sure that businesses that needed opportunity and finance for good projects were given good finance.
And would you support sanctions if they just don't come through with the levels?
I think the stick is the last thing you should use. I think the carrot approach is the best one. And I think the fact that mutually we all need this to happen is actually the positive way it will come through.
Now, you've already waded into the thorny issue of executive pay, and if you don't mind, I'm going to take you back there for a second. The pay, if you look at the statistics, I mean, the executive pay is hugely higher than it was 10, 15 years ago. Do you favour some kind of framework in which it was, say, 15 times the average salary to stop these huge amounts that are given to executives?
No, I think mathematical relationships in pay are quite dangerous. I mean, I think the thing that's very important is no matter what you do at any level, you genuinely earn what you are paid. And, you know, large sums of money, providing they're earned for achieving very substantial targets, I think are quite reasonable. I think nobody begrudges that.
Isn't it very difficult, though, to work out how somebody earns £8 million for meeting a target that arguably they could have met fairly easily for a lot less?
I think it's difficult, but I think it's part of the shareholder responsibility to ensure they understand the businesses such that they can see the hurdles are correct and truly challenging, and for people within boards to make sure that fairness is delivered in pay at all levels.
Okay. Sir Roger, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. I hope you'll come back in again.
It's a pleasure, Andrea.
Thank you very much indeed.